Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a review of a dash cam from a maker that's called Pruveeo. This particular model is D30H. I got this from Amazon, so this is the package it came from. The package right here in this corner was a little, seems like it didn't come together, put well together. But anyway, I'm just going to proceed to open it up. So this is how it's inside. I'm assuming this is the camera on the inside. Yep, that's the dash cam. There's nothing here, a couple of pieces of foam on the other side. Here we have the suction cup holder and the bracket that goes with the suction cup holder. This one seems to have a double-sided tape. We're going to explore that a little bit later on. And this is the charger that comes for it. And there seems to be a manual at the bottom. Yep, right there, the user manual. So, let's start to dissect this thing and go through some of the specs. So, as you can see, this is a dual cam. It's got 4 infrared lights. It's got a 2-inch screen. It's got a bunch of buttons here, basically, where you do set up and go through the rest of the settings. Right here is where you plug in the charger, the reset button, and the turn on and off button. So basically, with this camera is a dual dash cam. It's got one for external, for looking at the front of the camera, which front of the car, and they both rotate 180 degrees, both of them. Also, they rotate left and right 50 degrees, right there. The upper one is the internal camera, and it's got 4 infrared lights. So basically, this is good for when you're driving in the dark, and internally, obviously, you're not going to have any lights on. So this should help out with the quality of the recording when you're driving at night. This is for the front. Obviously, you turn it up front, and it records the front of the road that you're driving in. Some of the specs for this are obviously infrared night vision, and both are Sony sensors. The inside of the camera utilizes 4 infrared lights, has a f1.8 aperture, and both cameras utilize the Sony IMX323 sensor. Both record in 1080. Actually, when you have both cameras running, the highest setting you can record is 1920 by 1080p at 30 frames per second. However, though, if you're only utilizing one camera, just the front one, you could go as high as 2560 times 1440 at 30 frames per second, or you could do 1920 times 1080p at 60 frames per second. Obviously, it supports loop recording, which means when the storage runs out on the SD card, it will start all the way back from the oldest recording, and it will start deleting from the oldest to the newest. It's 150 degrees of recording in the front. It's got a 2-inch display. The camera turns off when you turn off the car, as long as it's plugged in, obviously. This particular camera doesn't come with an internal battery. It only turns on and off, and it's supported by the charger when the car is turned on. Memory card supports up to 128 gigabytes, and it has to be a micro SD card, class 10. So that's the camera. So let's proceed now to try to turn this thing on. I'll plug it in, and then we'll see what the quality looks like. Okay, so here we are. I plugged it into my car charger, and now I'm just going to plug this into the camera. What I need to point out is that I've already placed in an SD card, because without the SD card, I noticed that it will not be working properly. So here's the screen. You got both screens showing. Obviously, I have both of them facing up front, so I'm just going to minimize one of them. So here you go. In here, obviously on the upper left corner, it shows the camera and the red dot blinking. You got here the time, the amount of time that's passed by. It's showing you the seconds, the minutes, and the hours. And right below it, it tells you the settings, which both cameras is 1080. Both of them are set up on 1080. Below here, you got the microphone, meaning it's recording audio. You got the date, and then you got the time. And right here, it's telling you that it's charging with the green arrow going across it. So right here, if you want to stop recording, obviously you're going to hit this button. You're going to hear a beep, and you're going to see on the upper left corner, the red dot is going to stop blinking. That means it's stop recording. You want to put back on the recording, then you press that button again, and you're going to see the red dot blinking again. As far as the microphone, same thing. You're just going to have to press the microphone button to the right side of the OK button. When you press that button, you're going to see a red dot right next to the microphone. That means that you're not recording a conversation. It's good because sometimes you have people in your car that you're not, your friends, your family, and you do not want to record those conversations. This right button all the way at the right, like I said earlier, it basically changes the viewing, the type of viewing you want to have on the screen here. So that's the upper camera right there. Then you got a picture-in-picture, and then you got the lower camera. Now let's try to go through the settings. This button right here is what brings you to the settings. So here's what we have in here. You got resolution. You hit OK, and you pick whatever resolution you prefer. I'm going to keep it as it was. Full HD at 30 frames per second. You hit OK. You go down. Oops, sorry. We're going to go down. Loop recording. Off. 1 minute, 3 minutes. So you can have it off, which means it will record until the SD card is fully full, and then it will go back at the beginning of the recordings from the older dates. You could do every 1 minute, or you could do every 3 minutes. I'm going to leave it at off. You got the WDR, which is the size of the recording in the front. I'm going to leave it as is. Exposure, I'm not going to play with this. I'm going to leave it where it's at, but obviously you could choose. If I'm not that familiar with these things, so I'm just going to leave it at that. If you're more familiar how these things work, you could obviously have multiple options there. Record audio. You can have it set up to record when you turn the car on. You can leave it on the on mode, which means every time you turn the car on, it's going to start recording automatically. Or you could go up to off, and that means that every time you turn the car on, it will not record audio automatically, but you're going to have to do it manually like I did at the top of the video. So I'm going to leave it on. Now you got date on. I want the date to be shown. Gravity sensing. There's a couple of options here. You could have low, medium, or high, or you could just turn it off. I have it. It came on medium. I'm going to leave it at that and see how it works out for me. Plate number. This gives you a better quality of reading plate numbers, and obviously I want it on. I don't even know why it's an option. Definitely anyone having a dash cam would want this to be on. And then once you click on OK, you could pick on how far you want to zoom in on those plates. And you can see it gets bigger and bigger or smaller. I guess that's the normal size. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Then you got infrared light. You got off, on, and auto. I'm going to leave it on auto. And pull mirror. I'm not sure what this is, but it seems to have an off and an on option. I'm going to leave it off for now. Now, if you click the settings button one more time, it brings you to more options. You got a Wi-Fi option. There's an app that tells you on the manual to download a particular app. I haven't downloaded that yet, but what that does is it gives you the ability to view on your phone the video that's being displayed on the dash cam. And you could also record or transfer any video that you want to save from the dash cam to your phone. So I'm going to leave that off for now. Obviously here, this is where you set the date and time. And go back. we're going to go to auto power off. This basically what it does is it's when you're driving, you can have it constantly off, or you can have it set up to shut off after a minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes of driving. Basically what it does is it doesn't shut off the entire dash cam, but the screen does shut off, because it could become distracting if you constantly have it on. Beeping sound, that's the sound you've been hearing here that I keep pressing, and you can have it off or on. I prefer to have it on. Volume button, obviously some of these are self-explanatory. Language, frequency, screensaver. Okay, here, this is the formatting part of the SD card. So if you decide to delete or erase your SD card, this is where you would like to go. So it's going to ask you, all data will be deleted. You click on OK, and it will do that right now. There you go, done. And then you got an option here where you just click on it and hit default settings and pick default. Click on OK, and it will bring everything back to the normal factory settings. Version, I believe this is the software version running in within the dash cam itself. So that's it as far as settings. One thing I want to point out, if you have the record option on, the blinking red light, you can't go into settings. If you press that button, it's not going to bring the settings. So you got to remember that every time you want to play with the settings, make sure you turn off the recording option and then hit the settings button. That's it. I mean, it's pretty decent. I seem to like it. I've had another model of Pruveeo in my other car, and also a dual dash cam. And honestly, I've had it for 3 years, and it's been working wonderfully. First time I put it up, and never had to play with the settings or anything. It comes on, turns off as needed, and it's been very good. So I figured I'd try a different model for my other car that I just got recently. Quality of the video seems to be very good. I'm going to drive around a little bit, and I'm going to post that drive around at the end of the video. And you guys let me know your thoughts, what you think about it. Also, let me show you guys how you place your suction cup on it. So basically it's got these two like clamp things in here, and you basically slide it in there, and you gotta push up until you hear a strong click, because otherwise it will come down as you're driving if you can push it all the way up. So just be wary of that fact. And obviously then this is a typical suction cup which you place on your windshield, and I'll do that in a second. And turn the cameras in the direction you wish to have them. Obviously one of them has to be facing the front, because you do want to record when you're driving, and the other one you want to have it facing internally so it could record the inside of the car. These things are great, protects you whether on the outside of the car or on the inside, especially for those Uber and any other company drivers. These are great. I think you got all kinds of evidence, audio and video. So next format you're going to see is basically me driving around, which I'll attach to the video. And leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Got any questions, please ask, and I'll be happy to answer. Hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. Thank you.